Novak Djokovic is cleaning up the records, achieving a record 7th year-end number 1 and 37th Masters 1000 title in Paris just a week ago, with one other still on the table as the season nears its end. That record being most ATP Finals titles, where he is currently joint second with 5, just behind Federer with 6. Can he be stopped? We have had a first-time champion 5 years in a row. Djokovic has not won it since 2015, not making the final since 2018, with his biggest threat Medvedev winning it last year, but can he break the pattern of no repeated champions since the Serb? Another interesting point is that the venue has changed, moving to Turin, Italy, rather than London, perhaps giving the Italian, Berretinni, a little boost after a not-so-good debut in 2019. Our top 8 players this year are Novak Djokovic, Daniil Medvedev, Alexander Zverev, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Andrei Rublev, Matteo Berrettini, Hubert Hurkacz and Casper Ruud, with Jannik Sinner and Cam Norrie as alternates. Who are our most informed players at this year's finals, taking a look at their hardcourt season results from the US Open onwards. Starting from the top, Medvedev winning the US Open, a final in Paris plus 4 more matches under his belt than Djokovic in second place. Next is Zverev, a semi-final in the US, quarters at Indian Wells and a title in Vienna and a semi in Paris. Fourth on the list, Hurkacz winning a title in France, making the quarters at Indian Wells and a semi in Paris. Perhaps surprisingly next is Ruud, winning the San Diego Open and a quarter-final in Vienna and Paris. The Italian is up next, making the quarters in the US and Vienna. Tsitsipas next with a quarter-final at Indian Wells, but most recently retiring in Paris due to injury. And last but not least is Rublev, who made a semi-final in San Diego and the quarters at the St. Petersburg Open. So, on to the power rankings. Before I take a look at the draw and reveal my predictions, these power rankings are based off of the information already provided, as well as other factors such as win percentage, their season's achievements, and head-to-heads versus the other guys. At number 1, as it usually always is Djokovic. Even now, with Medvedev's breakthrough, every tournament the Serb enters is his to lose. This is pretty much the last remaining relevant record left to snatch up. At 2 is Medvedev. He is easily the second best and at times, in certain conditions, the best hardcourt player on the tour. At 3 is Zverev. These 3 players are in their own separate groups compared to the rest. However, I would put my faith in Medvedev more so to take down Djokovic. This seems familiar. At 4 is Hurkacz. At his best, he is a top 5 player with great movement, a great serve, willingness for variety, and a great backhand, but his forehand can go haywire and simply put is just not on the same level as the others, but I wouldn't exactly be surprised if there was an upset if he brings his best tennis. At 5 is Tsitsipas. He pulled out of Paris citing injury, making it sound like he wanted to make sure he was okay to play at the finals. If the problem is gone, he's obviously very dangerous, but hasn't been in the best form of late anyway. Berrettini is next. I would hope with it being in his home country, he can play a little better than last time. The last 2 are Ruud and Rublev. Many might be surprised that Ruud is next on my power rankings, simply because Rublev just hasn't been the same since his run to the Cincinnati final, losing to players he really shouldn't be losing to and losing in first rounds, whereas Ruud has just been getting better and better on the faster courts the last few months. Let's take a look at the draw then. In green group we have Djokovic, Tsitsipas, Rublev and Ruud, and in red group we have Medvedev, Zverev, Berrettini and Hurkacz. Starting with red group, Medvedev and Zverev should make the semis. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Hurkacz causes an upset. Berrettini, however, I am confident in saying doesn't have a chance. Medvedev in 3 versus Zverev. When it comes to this matchup, they play so similar, have similar strengths, but Medvedev does it better. Zverev, in my opinion, plays the wrong game style for someone with his strengths. He could and should, especially against Medvedev, be playing far more aggressive and looking to approach the net whenever he can. Anyway, Zverev in 3 sets versus Hurkacz, and finally Medvedev in 2 versus Berretinni. Moving on to green group, Djokovic will get through, and if Tsitsipas is healthy, he should too. However, if not, I can see Ruud making the semi-finals. Djokovic has been blessed with this group. Djokovic in 2 versus Ruud, Tsitsipas in 3 versus Rublev, Djokovic in 2 versus Rublev, Tsitsipas in 3 versus Ruud, Djokovic in 2 versus Tsitsipas, and Ruud in 3 versus Rublev. In the semi-finals, you would then have facing Djokovic versus Zverev, with Djokovic coming out on top in 2 close sets, and Medvedev versus Tsitsipas or Ruud, with Medvedev winning fairly easily, you would imagine. This means once again another final between Djokovic and Medvedev, and quite frankly, I don't think the US Open result matters. I don't think the Paris result matters. Just expect something good. However, with all that said, the Tour Finals hasn't been the easiest tournament to predict the last 5 years, and I could quite easily see Hurkacz, or even Sinner, if he gets to play, winning the whole thing, continuing the streak of first-time winners.